Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus, today joined by Nolan and Mehrob. There is a lot of stuff to get into in the world of sports. Lots of basketball news. The Pacers take a vital game 3, go up 2-1 in the series. Teams that take that untying Game 3, make it 2-1 in the series, win 81% of the series going forward. A massive game over there for them. We'll talk about the Knicks head coaching search. They've been denied over and over again for all of their top candidates. We'll take a look at who is left and where they might go, as well as potential trades for Kevin Durant, the top 5 teams that are expected to be in the running for him, what kind of stuff they could offer for him, Shamar Stewart updates, and so much more. But before we get into that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with us here on a beautiful Thursday, June 12th. But like I was saying, we are going to get here into what happened in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Of course, we saw the Pacers take this one 116-107 at home. This was a really weird game because it had all the writings of a Thunder win on this one, especially early on in the game. All the keys, the big 3 for the Thunder, that being Chet, J-Dub, and Shea, they all had 20-plus points. Lou Dort was hitting his threes. They had a lead in the first quarter. All check marks, all signs that the Thunder were going to go with their kind of game script. Instead, we see the Pacers take over with a massive second quarter. Tyrese Halliburton was aggressive offensively, which is what we've been waiting for him to do. Mehrob, what is your takeaway from Game 3?
Well, it just feels like last night's game was really what we expected the series to be. You'd look at the depth on both of these teams. What's the biggest thing that we're talking about? How both these teams can go 7, 8 guys deep that can score 10-plus points. You're talking about a team that both teams play with space, pace, incredible basketball on both sides of the basketball. But in this game, we saw the big 3 for the Oklahoma City Thunder kind of shine in this one. We saw Jalen Williams. You bring up Jalen Williams with 26, Shea with 24, Chet Holmgren with 20 points and 10 rebounds. He had a massive game. Lou Dort pitched in 12 points of his own. When you're looking at this team as a whole, it looked like they had all the ingredients for a win, and you played it out. You said it perfectly. But it was the play of the Pacers that took it for this one. It was the play of a Benedict Mathurin with 27 crucial points in this one. TJ McConnell making key turnovers on. I've never seen the Thunder be that careless with the basketball on inbounds plays. TJ McConnell looked like a linebacker, looked like a cornerback out there, like he's playing football. Seriously, like just intercepting passes, easy, simple inbound plays. Their press coverage, full court press coverage that the Pacers were playing was crucial in this one, and TJ McConnell was everywhere. 10 points for him, 5 assists. And then you bring up Tyrese Halliburton, who was the engine for this team. Probably his most complete game that we've seen. 22 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists. Just 1 rebound short of a triple-double. You saw Pascal Siakam have 21 crucial points as well. As a whole, I mean, this is what we expected this series to look like. And I'm happy that we finally saw a normal game instead of one of these wild card games that we've seen. But it was good to see the Pacers get a win. But we're up 2-1. This is a 2-1 series now. This is a big Game 4 coming up, and the Thunder really need to find a way to bounce back in the next game.
You brought up the defense, and I think the defense is such a crucial part of this. We saw, of course, TJ McConnell with 5 steals, all of which were on those inbounds plays, giving them 5 extra possessions. And in a game where you only win by 9 points, 5 extra possessions is basically the game right there. 10 points, 5 assists over there. An incredible game off the bench for him. Benedict Mathurin, that you mentioned, 27 points off the bench. He only missed 2 shots from the field. He was that offensive engine for them, the guy that they turned to when they needed a bucket. But back on that defensive side, Obi Toppin, Miles Turner, Andrew Nembhard, those guys were amazing. Nembhard on Shea all game long. When you can hold down the MVP to less than 30 points, a guy that was averaging 36 points per game this series, you get him. You get a little bit of that block for a bunch of big blocks from Obi Toppin, from Miles Turner, especially late in that game. It completely changed the way this game is played. And it's not like this is a Pacers team that is a great defense, Nolan. This is a Pacers team that is much more equipped for offense. What did you see that was different about this Pacers defense in this game as opposed to some of the others? And was it just because they were at home, or was it something else?
Being at home definitely helped, having that home crowd environment. Home crowd advantage has been, a well-known factor throughout this entire playoffs. The teams that are at home are winning more. It's just a fact. If you look at the wins compared to the home versus away, home teams are winning more, louder environments, especially the teams like the Thunder and the Pacers. These are the teams that are, have the most diehard fans. They have they're the teams wearing the shirts. That's going to help you, that environment alone will help. But, having just the defense of the Pacers last night was something that, it's an NBA Finals. You want to see teams having good defense, and the Pacers really stepped it up. They knew, in my opinion, it was a must-win game because, like I've been saying, it was a must-win game for the Pacers. Crawling back from the Thunder is a very hard task to do, especially in the finals. You don't want to crawl back when they're down. Let's say they lost last night. I think the Thunder win game 4. I think it goes back to OKC with a 2-2 split. So let's say they lost last night and lost again on tomorrow. They have to crawl back down 3-1 in game 5 in OKC the next game, which is, kind of impossible. It's OKC, one of the best home court advantage teams in the country. And they knew that. And they said they had to come with a different type of intensity, a different game plan, and they got it done. The defense was just amazing last night. There's nothing more to say. It was a phenomenal defensive scheme, phenomenal, and the players, they did their job. They did everything they had to. When they were manned up, they were playing face-to-face, hard-nosed defense like I said they should do a few shows ago. And I said, it's hard to do it, but, they must be watching the show. They're listening to my takes, I'm telling you. But, they went face-to-face. They went head-to-head, and it worked. SGA, he still had a good game. Don't get me wrong. SGA had another great game out of him, 24 points, 8 rebounds. That's a great game. But 24 points for SGA is kind of like an off game. You're expecting to see this guy drop 30+. 24, that's pretty good. For SGA's stand, holding him to less than 24 or less than 25 or 30, it's a pretty good game for your defense. And, the Pacers last night really just came in with the win mentality. They came in knowing they had to win, and they got it done. Winning by 9 points, those clutch stops by, Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell. They all had great stops. The entire team was playing great defense. But obviously, you have the GOAT. You have Benedict Mathurin having, a great night. TJ McConnell also having a great night. 5 steals. That when do you see a guy get 5 steals? Not a lot. In one game, not a lot. But he had a great night. He stepped up big time. He played, he played his Alex Caruso role. Came off the bench, great defender. He did what he had to do. And the Pacers came away with a good win in Game 3, hoping to take a 3-1 lead, which I don't think it will happen. I think it'll still be 2-2 after the next game, going to Game 5. But good win for the Pacers, must-win game. They got it done.
You bring up the future of this series. Neither of these teams have lost back-to-back games in multiple months. The Thunder haven't lost back-to-back games since April, and the Pacers haven't lost back-to-back games since March. It has been a long time coming, and that kind of goes back to Game 1. If these teams are going to continue to go back and forth like they have all series long, it's going to be all back on that Game 1 shot from Tyrese Halliburton. This is still a very dangerous Thunder team. The Pacers were able to show up with that defense, a lot of it sparked by the bench players that you bring up. Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell, Benedict Mathurin on offense, Andrew Nembhard on defense. These guys stepping up, keeping Shea not necessarily off the board, but inefficient more than anything, like near 50%. If you can hold him to that, that's the key to winning these games. But it's also been the key for this whole series is those guys off the bench, right? Aaron Wiggins in game 2, right? In game 3, obviously, you have all the guys that we've brought up. I've also heard a whole bunch the phrase bench players get up when they play at home, right? We've seen it work both ways back in OKC. Who's going to be that guy that steps up off the bench? Who's going to be the guy that steps up for the Thunder if they're able to tie this series back 2-2?
I think, well, there's one that's kind of a no-brainer, and I think that has to be Isaiah Hartenstein. Isaiah Hartenstein needs to have a bigger presence for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They need to figure out a way to. They can't let Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner have games the way they did last night. Siakam 21 points. Turner 9 points, but those are 9 crucial points for him, especially when it's a 9-point margin. Isaiah Hartenstein having a little bit of a quieter night last night, but you need him and Chet Holmgren to be able to step up in these big moments. You bring up a big point with benches show up when you're back home. And I think that's where this series is going. It seems like it's playing out. It's playing out with the bench players. It's not playing out with the starters. The 5-on-5 guys are matching up and pretty much canceling each other out. Game 2, it was Aaron Wiggins that was the deciding factor. Game 3, it was Benedict Mathurin. Game 1 was just a Halliburton. We can just give that one. We could just label that the Halliburton game. Just throw that one to the side. But this is how this series it seems like it's going to play out from here on out. It's going to be who shows up from the bench. I think the Pacers have massive, I think, advantage on that side, but the Thunder, this was my worry about the Thunder. When you take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out of the picture, when you put a guy like Andrew Nembhard, who's a great on-ball defender, he just got done locking up Jalen Brunson against the New York Knicks in Game 5. If he can do that to Jalen Brunson, what is he about to do to Shai? He did it in Game 1. Now he does it in Game 3 once again. If you're Shai, you need to figure out a way to score the basketball, but if Shai is not able to get it done, the big 3 showed up, but somebody has to come off the bench and be some sort of a momentum shifter for you.
Yeah, the way that they were able to play, especially defense, is my big takeaway from it. They were playing up on Shai. They weren't letting those ball screens get him space so that he was able to drive to the rim. Again, he's one of the most prolific drivers I've seen in my entire life, really. He gets to the basket like nobody else, but they were keeping him away from the basket, making him take a couple steps back. That made him more inefficient, and it led to more turnovers. 19 turnovers for this Thunder team, and that, again, has been another key part of this series. I know Game 1 is a little bit wild because of everything that happened with that Halliburton shot and how the Thunder just kind of didn't play their best basketball, even when they forced 19 turnovers in the first half, 25 turnovers total. They weren't able to convert off those turnovers, but the Pacers, with the way they play, with their ability to hit especially those long outlet passes off of turnovers, it is essential that you don't turn the ball over, especially with that offense that is so explosive. The Thunder offense concerns me a little bit. They go cold for stretches, and against this Indiana team, it is tough to go cold for stretches. But we also saw Tyrese Halliburton step up in this game. He had 22 points on 9 of 17 shooting. He nearly had that triple-double like you mentioned earlier. He's going to need to play that aggressive. He didn't necessarily light up the box score early on. I mean, he was more consistent early on, but it was the fact that he was aggressive, drawing more defenders, hitting the open guy, getting those skip passes, basically getting to his spots, his passing spots, even if the Thunder were putting pressure on him. And if he can play like that every single game, it's going to be really tough. The Pacers are 8-0 these playoffs when Tyrese Halliburton has 22 points or more. He barely hit that number, but it's going to be key for him to continue to play like this, not just to be like the haters are saying this and I showed them, which I feel like is something that really has fueled him this playoff run, being voted the most overrated player in the league. I think that's something that's really helped fuel the Pacers run so far. He just has to keep that same mentality, because when he plays like that, this is a completely different identity, Nolan, of a Pacers squad.
Yeah, you need, Tyrese Halliburton, obviously, he is one of the best players in the NBA right now. I mean, that's just straight up. I mean, everybody knows that. If you watch in game one, throughout this entire playoffs, he has been the best, most clutch player in the playoffs. Getting voted most overrated. Personally, look where he is now. One buzzer beater every series so far. Cleveland, Milwaukee, doesn't matter. New York, the Thunder, doesn't matter. He's hit a buzzer beater in at least one of the series, and they're every one of them has been clutch. The Milwaukee one, he obviously that took the series away from Milwaukee. The Thunder one took game one. I mean, they're all clutch. And the past few shows, we've been talking, is he really an all-star? I mean, he really isn't, but he's playing like it. I don't really, he is an all-star. Actually, I'll take that back. He is an all-star. He's playing like one right now, but the only reason people can call him not an all-star is because he's not shooting the ball. He has been shooting the ball more recently, and that's why he's getting more all-star approval from people around the league. From if you look on NBA Twitter, very reliable NBA Twitter, very high quality stuff over there. People are saying they like him a lot more. People are saying Tyrese Halliburton is playing like an all-star player, and he deserves the praise. And honestly, he does. He deserves the praise all season long. But the thing is, preseason, regular season, before playoffs, he was a pass-first player. Most of the playoffs, he's still been a pass-first player. But throughout this series, you kind of see, like last night, he shot 17 shots, went 9 for 17. I believe he had a few three-pointers as well. He went 4 for 8 from 3, 9 for 17 from the field. I mean, that's a pretty good stat line. It means he's shooting more and he has confidence. He's always been a good shooter. He's been consistent. He's not a hit or miss guy. He's a guaranteed to get you at least three-pointers a game and more. He just doesn't shoot as much. He's more of a pass-first player. And know what? That's fine. Look at Chris Paul. Same thing. And with Chris Paul, just like Chris Paul, when he wants to shoot, he's going to shoot and he's going to be hot. That's just how they are. 4 generals play the game differently, I guess. But he's a great player. He really has been this whole playoff. He has been, a deciding factor for the Pacers, kind of bringing this team up, being a team that everybody thought was going to be a first on exit, including me. They've crawled their way through, not the strongest Eastern Conference in a while, but one of the best, one of a very good Eastern Conference. It's not no West, but they're playing really very high caliber teams. New York Knicks, New York Knicks aren't the greatest team in the West, but in the East they're really good, and they are a good team in general. Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns. I mean, they have a great roster over there, and they're managing to beat these teams that are better than them. Obviously, you had the Cleveland Cavaliers as well, the best team in the Eastern Conference, beat them in 5. I mean, this team, especially Tyrese Halliburton, I mean, he's just playing great this whole playoff. He has really stepped up as a leader on this team, and only bright things ahead for him. He's still really young. He still has a lot of potential. He still can easily next year. He can kind of solidify himself as a great player in the league right now if he continues to shoot the ball. If he keeps shooting the ball the way he has been and shoots it more in the regular season than having to wait to the postseason to shoot, he will be a solidified all-star and hopefully an all-NBA player. Until next season, we won't know. But the way he's playing right now, hopefully next year it'll translate over to become an all-star, maybe an all-NBA.
Yeah, there's a lot to love about Tyrese Halliburton's game. But game 3 was really more about that bench, that defense, and we'll see if they can continue that as the series hits game 4 still in Indiana. What's up, Mehrob?
The last thing I want to say, if I'm Mark Daigneault going into practice today, there is one thing I'm putting players through. I'm putting them at the free throw stripe, and I'm making them just shoot free throws. That last 2 minutes, they missed 6, 7 free throws. In a 9-point game, when the Thunder are coming back the way they were at the end of that game, and you're missing free throws like that, that is a gut punch to you. So that's just my last take. Thunder definitely need to clean that up.
Yeah,
it's like watching Mitchell Robinson at the free throw line that entire last few minutes. It was bad. It was really bad. I was watching that. I was like, why are these guys missing so much? By the way, these are guards they're following, and they're missing a majority of the shots. It's
Jalen
Williams. I mean, he's the third option on this team. You cannot be missing free throw shots. I mean, they're literally called free throw. You're alone at the line. I mean, not going to make every shot, but you got to at least, make at least 50%, more than 50%. You can't be going 1 for 2 every time. You got to be going 2 for 2 at least every other time.
Game 4 should be a movie, though. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we turn our attention to the Knicks head coaching search. A really interesting kind of trend has come along with the Knicks where they seem to only want to poach coaches from other existing teams that already have them as a head coach. We'll talk about what that means, who's been denied, and if anybody really wants that job at all. That's coming up next here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Thursday, June 12th. If you were just tuning in, we just finished going over a Game 3 that saw the Pacers take a 2-1 lead in the NBA Finals, winning by 9 points, 116-107, behind very strong defense and bench player performances. In this segment, we turn our attention to the Knicks, the team the Pacers eliminated in those Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks are still in search of a new head coach, and it seems every person that they try to talk to is not available. The phone is not ringing. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with us here on a beautiful Thursday, June 12th. But like I was saying, we're going to get into what really has turned into quite the saga with this New York Knicks team. And before we get into everyone that's been denied or has denied them, I'm just going to start off with the big question on my mind, Mehrob. Why are they only going for coaches that are already married to a team? This makes no sense to me. What is going on in that organization that they decide they need to poach a coach?
This is something unprecedented that we don't usually see, Jeremy. The only thing I can really even tie this back to in my recent memory, that if you remember Sean Payton when he got traded from New Orleans to Denver, and Denver sent New Orleans picks. That is the only thing I can think of anywhere remotely to this. What is New York trying to expect one of these head coaches to buy out from their teams? It's not going to happen. These are guys, Ime Udoka is one, Chris Finch. There's so many different coaches out there that New York is looking at for whatever reason that they're trying to get interviews with, and these teams are just like, no, we want our head coaches. You can't have them. I'm sorry, man. So it's I want to say it's unfortunate, but I mean, I think there's better options. There are still other options for the Knicks to look at. I think they're just looking for a veteran presence out there. They're looking for a guy that knows what he's doing, that's been there, that they don't want a rookie. They don't want a rookie head coach to come in. They don't want an assistant head coach to get eaten alive in New York. They don't want a guy from college to have his first appearance in the NBA with this Knicks squad. They want to be that. They want to be a team that is ready to compete for a championship next year. The New York Knicks believe the reason that they're not in the NBA Finals right now is because of Tom Thibodeau. That is the reason why they fired Tom Thibodeau like this. They didn't give him any chance to look at it because They think they have it's not that they don't have the talent. It's not that they don't have the right group of guys. It's that the coach they think Leon Rose thinks they did not have the right asset. They didn't have the right coach to bring success to this team. Is that the right decision? I mean, I personally don't think so. I think Leon Rose did not give Tom Thibodeau enough to work with for his bench, and that was a big reason why they lost to the Indiana Pacers in 6 games.
He wouldn't have used the bench anyway.
You're not wrong, and that's the sad part. Nolan, what are your thoughts on this? I'll turn the baton to you.
Oh, so thanks, man. But I mean, the thing is though, like he doesn't use his bench. His bench wasn't that bad. Like you look at that bench, it's not. There's not a guy out there you're gonna see who's gonna come out and drop 30 points for you, But I mean, there's guys on there who can come off the bench and drop you at least 10, maybe 15 points if you give him the minutes. I mean, obviously, he had Mitchell Robinson. I'm not sure when he came off the bench to, come on, give Cat a rest. You got Campaign. He's not a superstar, but if on his good nights, he can give you a really good 15, 20 points. He did it against the Pistons, and I was really pissed when he did, but I can't lie. He's a good basketball player. I mean, they traded for PJ Tucker. I'm not really sure if that counts as, he could be good. I mean, you got to give the guys minutes. The thing is, though, you're just not giving these guys minutes so they can go prove themselves. When you get traded to New York and you're not in that starting 5, you should either A, request a trade immediately, or just get out if you can, or retire. Because you're not seeing that core if you're not on that starting 5 or the 6th man. I mean, it's just straight up. But the thing is, like, Coach Thibodeau should still be in New York. I'm not even a New York Knicks fan, and I'm saying that. I think he should still be in New York. I think, honestly, yeah, the bench could have been used more, but for what he did with just the starters, basically like 6 players the whole year, maybe 7, took them to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, that's pretty hard to do. Getting through the Eastern Conference, beating Boston. That team was built around to beat Boston, and look where they did. They did that, and you know what they had to do? They had to build around a team next year to beat Indiana. Because Boston, no offense, Mehrob, will not be a threat next year. I hope. But, sorry. But, I mean, Indiana, they're still going to be just as good, maybe even better. Unless they lose Miles Turner, which I doubt they do, they're still going to be a very, very good team. If they could manage to get 1 or 2 people to build around to beat Indiana, they would have been the second best team in the East behind Cleveland. I mean, maybe the best. Who knows? But I don't know. I think firing Thibs was still one of the most questionable decisions they could have made. A lot of my friends from New Jersey, New York, I was texting them about it. They said they were surprised. A lot of them, no one in New York saw that coming. I think a lot of people in New York saw Thibs get to the Eastern Conference Finals, something the Knicks have not done in about 20 years, and they thought, you know what, he's going to be good for at least another 2 seasons at most, maybe a little more, depends on what he does next year, and then 3 days after they lose, he's gone, and the players are in the club in New York partying, saying 2026 NBA Finals. I don't know what that was about, but, I mean, I still don't understand why they fired him. He was a great coach. Firing him, still very questionable to me. I'm not sure why they're trying to go poach other coaches. There's a lot of coaches on the market. Still my number 1 guy, Mike Malone, but we'll get to that later. I mean, there's still so many coaches available on the market. While they're trying to go, like Jeremy said, take coaches away from other teams or marry, whatever. I forgot, poach the coaches. I thought it was a pretty good play on words. I'm not sure why they're doing that. There's a million people out there to go get. Go find someone else who's available.
Yeah, it feels like the Knicks are living in fantasy land to me when I take a look at what their decisions are. Because, sure, in a perfect world, if you are the New York Knicks, I would love to have Ime Udoka as my head coach, right? Go take him off of that young, promising Rocket squad. I'd be happy with Chris Finch, who's taken the Timberwolves to 2 straight conference finals. Jason Kidd makes sense. If there was going to be one coach that would be poachable, it would be Jason Kidd because of the clear disdain that he has for Nico Harrison and that front office, right? And if I'm Nico Harrison, if I'm being completely honest with you, I'm letting Jason Kidd walk because, I mean, he can sabotage whatever semblance of a plan I have. Not that I think Jason Kidd is the perfect coach for the Knicks. I don't think he would be the correct answer, but, I mean, Look, the guys that they're going after, Billy Donovan, I think he would like, but I don't think the Bulls are ready to move off of him. Quinn Snyder, I'm sure he'd be happy, but I don't think the Hawks want to move off of him, right? Jay Wright is a guy that just turned him down, although I thought that would be a really good spot for them to go to. All of these top choices are just turning them down. And again, I don't understand why they aren't interviewing the coaches that are out there. We have talked a lot about Mike Malone being out there after being fired from the Nuggets. If you want a different head coach that was just fired, you can go for Taylor Jenkins. You can go out and hire Mike Brown, who was fired by the Kings, right? There are a lot of different places that you could go to get a head coach with experience right now, if that's truly what they're going for. Instead, they're looking for a trade to get a head coach, or just a team to basically say, sure, you can go coach the Knicks. We don't want you here anymore. And any serious head coach candidate that you would realistically want on a championship level team, no team in their right mind is going to let you take them from you. That is just not how it works. I don't understand the strategy here. I can't wrap my head around this at all, Mehrob. It makes no sense.
I'm right there with you, man. That's why I started off when I first talked about it, I said this is unprecedented. This is not normal. This is not normal in sports. You're competitive. You have guys. These are coaches. These coaches are still battling against one another. The players are battling against one another. These coaches, they have players on their teams that they've brought up, that they've helped prosper into these teams. There's no way. There is no Ime Udoka. They want Ime Udoka. He's built that team in Houston that's being built right now. He laid that foundation down. Chris Finch in Minnesota. He laid down that foundation after Tom Thibodeau. Maybe that's why the Knicks won, because he took over after Tom Thibodeau left. I don't know. It makes no sense. I'm right there with you. I was one of those guys that thought, his name just slipped my mind, the Villanova's old head coach.
Jay Wright.
Please, somebody. Thank you, Jay Wright. Just literally slipped my mind. That was a guy that I thought would be a great fit for the Knicks. He'd been in Villanova for years. He won multiple national championships with Villanova. I think it would be a great introduction for him in the NBA if he took the Knicks job right now. But especially with the new style of the NBA, with how college style it is right now. But if the Knicks, I think they go with an assistant coach. If they can get the assistant coach from OKC, that could be phenomenal for them. Maybe they can get a guy like Monty Williams. Monty Williams is on the market, getting fired by Detroit. I know Nolan doesn't like him because he was in Detroit and he had a terrible season with them. I don't want to hear it. Monty Williams he brought the Phoenix Suns to a championship 4 years ago.
Oh, no.
I don't know about that, man.
Oh, no, he was horrible. He should never.
You look at
that's
what
why
the Pistons did just
that's
1 year removed from him.
You see that jersey back there? The Grant Hill jersey? He brought that jersey shame. I mean, shame, man. It hurt to watch those games, man. That's why he's in college. He should never. I told Jeremy this a few days ago. Monty Williams should never coach an NBA team ever again. I'm so serious. He didn't bring them to the championship. Kevin Durant did. That was Kevin Durant. No disrespect.
Durant was on that team.
He was. Oh, he wasn't. You're right. Sorry. My bad. But, I mean, that was, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. I don't think that was Monty Williams. That was mostly just, heavy offense. He also teaches no defense. He has no defense over there. No, if you go back, they were giving up 100. They let up like the second most points in the NBA that year.
I think his biggest issue is his rotations. Like, you see the difference. It's basically the same squad that Bickerstaff had this year. Who's his face had Monty Williams had just a season ago, and now they're a 6th seed with basically the same rosters because he fixed the rotation. Sure, there's a couple new pieces in there, but that was kind of an inexcusable way to play that Pistons team. He went with all bench lineups like all the time on a Pistons squad that was losing 20 games in a row. You can't be continuing to do that.
The worst thing about all that, he started Killian Hayes over Jaden Ivey. That is really what broke my heart. He was putting Killian Hayes in a starting 5 over Jaden Ivey. That's it. That's all I have. That's all. That's like the all you could see that and just think whatever you please. That's all I got to know.
Getting back to the Knicks, though, Anthony in the comments
sorry.
is talking about potential people that they could go to. Shaka Smart, a very interesting name that's just brought up there. I haven't heard his name in a lot of conversations, but what he's been able to do in college, what do you think about a guy like that? I know they want experience, maybe not from the NBA, but there's plenty of guys in college that have that experience. What do you think about a name like Shaka Smart?
Nolan, you want to take it away on this one?
I mean, getting it never hurts to get more experienced coaches, no matter what level of the game, college, NBA, maybe high school, who knows. But, getting a college coach with a lot of experience is honestly about the same as getting an NBA coach with maybe, a college coach with 15 years of experience is probably about the same as an NBA coach with 10 years. I mean, they're basically the same guy. It's, a different game. It's different pace, different game kind of. But getting an experienced college coach is still a great pickup. Regardless of what level you're coaching at, getting an experienced coach is going to help a lot. And, he's not too old, so he can still understand, how a good NBA team should run. And honestly, I know it's a little off topic. One guy I was thinking about, maybe he just got fired from the Suns, Mike Boldenhauser. It's kind of crazy. But, I feel like no one's really talking about him either. I mean, he won a ring with the Bucks. He just got cut from the Suns after 1 year after having a decent, not a bad record, but for what he had. And, he really only had Booker and KD, but besides that, really who else? But, he could be an option. But, a good college coach never hurts. It never hurts to have a college coach with years and years of experience and has had a lot of success in March Madness. Never hurts to have that.
Yeah, I think it's less likely. I think it's less likely that Shaka Smart leaves Marquette because I think he's got a pretty good thing going over there. But I think if you can poach him, if you can go get him, why not? I know Danny Hurley's name is continuing to be in contention, and he is, I think, a better name than Shaka Smart, but he's along those same lines of a really experienced college coach that has pretty good runs when it comes to the NCAA tournament. There are a lot of ways that they could go. The Knicks here, it seems more like they're going the way of an experienced NBA coach. It's probably how it's going to end up, but I'm curious if they're just going to ask every single team in the NBA to hire their head coach at some point, because it's getting a little ridiculous. They're up to, what I've seen, a list of 5 teams already. That's like 20% of the NBA. It's a little ridiculous, all of these teams they're asking, and I don't know. It's just a mess over there. Lots more coming with the Knicks, of course, is going to be a big story going forward. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Kevin Durant on the trade block. Kevin Durant is reportedly basically an announcement away from getting traded. Some sources say that a trade is already done. We'll talk about the top 5 locations, some potential trade packages for him as well. That's coming up next here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Thursday, June 12th. If you were just tuning in, we've talked a little bit of basketball so far. The Knicks looking to steal a head coach from somebody else, not working too well. The Pacers take a 2-1 series lead in the NBA Finals, a huge Game 3 from their bench and their defense. In this segment, we take a look at Kevin Durant. One of the best players of this era is on the trade block yet again. Out of Phoenix with the Suns, where it did not quite work out again. There's 5 teams that have kind of separated themselves from the pack when it comes to who might trade for him. The Spurs, the Rockets, the Knicks, the Heat, and the Timberwolves seem to be those top 5 options. I've got trade packages from all 5 of them. We'll go over them. Who says no here, as well as a little bit of background here. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those 2 things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Thursday, June 12th. But like I was saying, we are going to get into a little bit here on Kevin Durant. There are some reports out there that say Kevin Durant to the Spurs is already a done deal, just waiting for the NBA Finals to be done. How much I believe that? Not really so much, but still, it's out there floating around. And with the NBA, I truly do believe that that's something that could be happening. We'll see, though. The Spurs, of course, are a team that Durant has said he prefers to go to. His contract right now, his last year, is worth $54.7 million. Durant has a no-trade clause as well, which means he needs to approve of the location that he goes to. But a trade does seem imminent at this point. We'll start off with those Spurs. There's a couple different trade options out there. The Spurs have that number 2 overall pick, which I feel like is kind of the best tradable asset for them. Of course, they still have their untouchables there. You can't trade Wemby. Fox they traded for, he's going to be pretty untouchable. Stephon Castle is an interesting one. And before I get to the trade that I have here, is Stephon Castle untouchable?
He's the rookie of the year. Like it's so tough. This is a guy in Stephen Castle that's playing. He won 2 national championships with UConn. He's coming to his first year, 1 rookie of the year. Started off the bench, ended up finishing the year starting in the starting lineup. If I'm San Antonio Spurs, I don't trade Stephen Castle. But if you have to try and get somebody with KD. I'm not saying get a guy like Devin Booker, but get something else with KD to try and balance this out, because that would be a crucial loss for the San Antonio Spurs squad.
Yeah, the Spurs trade package, when I was taking a look at it, it doesn't seem the strongest, right? You're talking about guys like Devin Vassell, like Jeremy Sohan, like potentially Stephon Castle, right? These are the guys that we're talking about putting on the trade block. Harrison Barnes is in basically all of the trades that I was doing just so we could match salary, because he is making a good amount of money over there. But it's really that number 2 overall pick and which of those young guys you like. So a couple trade options that I found work. Devin Vassell, who is a really solid backup guard, although it feels like Phoenix is kind of inundated with a lot of those guys. Harrison Barnes and the number 2 overall pick, which they could use on anybody not named Cooper Flag. Most likely, they go out and they get Dylan Harper, although maybe they want a guy like Ace Bailey to fit their scheme a little bit better. there's a lot of options out there that they could do. Who says no in that situation? Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and that second overall pick.
Take it, 100%.
Agree.
You're
Not
taking
giving
that
up too
trade?
much. I'll take it. I would do that trade. I mean, you're not giving up too much. The Spurs have a lot of young talent, have a lot of good players. Obviously, you got Wemby, and you don't want to give up Rookie of the Year Stephon Castle. Give up a guy who's giving up a good amount of your payroll. Not a good amount, but, a little bit of your payroll. Another really good – you got a young promising star in Devin, and then a second overall pick. I mean, the Spurs have a lot. They don't have, shortage of picks. They have plenty. They don't have – they're not the Suns where they have 2 first-round picks in the next 7 years. They're not a shortage, so that's actually good for them. You get KD for probably 2, maybe 3 seasons, and then that's a good team. A good starting. Chris Paul, Wemby, KD. I mean, that's already on that 3 alone, top 5 team in the West.
Yeah, definitely a scary team over there. I think the bigger question with this trade package is whether or not the Suns would take it. Because if I'm the Spurs, this is an easy trade for me, right? You're not giving up Stephon Castle. You're keeping Jeremy Sohan. You're keeping a lot of that young talent. Of course, you still have Wemby and Fox to build around. I don't know if the Suns take this trade, if I'm being honest. They don't have that quintessential big man that they're looking for here. I like Devin Vassell. I think he had a bit of a down season last year. Harrison Barnes doesn't move the needle for me really at all. That number 2 overall pick is probably the most interesting one in that trade package, and it does depend if they feel super strongly about it. But I don't know if I take that if I'm the Suns, if I'm being completely honest with you, Mehrob.
I just think there's one caveat with this whole thing, and it's that what is the best deal that the Suns can get? Can the team like the Timberwolves, the Heat, can they give them a better option? I know they're dying for a center, but what better option can you get than the number 2 overall pick? You can draft you can draft whatever center you want. The only guy you can't get is Cooper Flagg, and I'm sorry, but you're not getting Cooper Flagg. It's just not happening. But you get whatever choice you want at center in this deep, incredible 2025 NBA draft. I think it's their best bet. I think they get all the pieces they want. They get to build around Devin Vassell, and I think they'll be okay. It just depends on if they can get a better deal. That's the question mark.
There's plenty of other deals out there. That's just the Spurs because they have the most conversation around them, and they're the favorite. The Rockets are one that I had trouble with. I know we were talking a little bit about this, but there were a couple of trade packages for them, right? They don't necessarily have a big guy to give up because, again, they're untouchables. Şengün is an untouchable for them. Jalen Green is someone that I thought was an untouchable, but is a little bit more on the fence. And, of course, Amen Thompson over there is untouchable as well. Those are the 3 guys for me. Everybody else is kind of up for grabs, but with such a young and kind of cheap roster, it takes a lot of the guys to get the salary match. So we're talking about giving up 1 first-round pick. Couple trades involve Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, Jock Landale, and Dylan Brooks. Or you can just give up Jalen Green, a 2025 pick first, and Dylan Brooks. It's still a lot to give up. If you're comfortable giving up Jalen Green, I think that bottom package probably works better for the Houston Rockets, but I don't know how comfortable they are giving up a guy that has been, for the most part, their offensive engine, even though they didn't really have one last season. It's a tough one. Is there a trade that you're looking at? Jabari Smith, Dylan Brooks, Reed Shepherd, Jock Landale in a 2025 first, or Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green with that first-round pick that you like more for either side?
Definitely the Jalen Green one. I think Jalen Green, obviously, him and Cade have a lot of beef, and I think Jalen Green's overrated. He really is, I think he's an overrated player. He performed very poorly this playoff. Last season, his offense just went down the gutter. He averaged 15 points this season, if that. I mean, he had a really poor offensive season, and his offense has never been his strong suit. It's his finishing. He's a great finisher at the rim. He gets to the rim quick. He's like John Morant. He gets to the rim quick, have great finishes at the rim, and have a decent defense. The problem is his 3-point shooting and mid-range are just not consistent. He's not a consistent offensive weapon. You cannot rely on him every night to get you 20, maybe 10, and that's really it. Honestly, I would Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green in the first round pick, KD. I wouldn't say no. I'm not sure what the Suns would say because, like you said, there's no big man in that. You could draft a big man. I'm not sure what position the pick would be for the Suns. But, they really don't get a big man. And that's something they need because you can't rely on Mason Plumlee to be your starting 5. Not in this day and age. He's not going to work. They need a solidified big. Would the Suns take it? I doubt it. But, any team that's willing to trade for KD, they're going to, that team and their fans, they're going to say yes. But the question, will the Suns? I think the Suns will not take that trade just because maybe if Jabari Smith was in that trade, maybe they would, but you're not trading those 3 guys. You're trading 2 of them. And the Jalen Green is definitely, I think, he's definitely not an untouchable just based off how poor he played this season, offensive-wise. Defense, okay. He just wasn't that good on offense for how hyped he was, so high in that 2021 draft class, 2nd overall pick. I mean, he was honestly, in that draft class, out of the 3 players they took in Sengun, Jabari Smith, and him, he has been the worst of those 3. Even though he was the highest overall, he was the worst. And honestly, I think if they want to trade for KD, he is the first guy who they should bring up because I think he's just overrated.
Yeah. And we'll look at it this way. I think Jalen Green is a guy that probably has the most potential in any of these trades that we're giving out. Even the ones upcoming, if I'm being completely honest. He's the one that has the most potential, I think. But it's a very interesting case if the Rockets think he is untouchable, Mehrob.
Yeah. I also think you can get a lot of value out of a guy like Jalen Green, a guy that played all 82 games, scored 21 points a game, had a decent, he did shoot, she struggled to shoot the 3. He did have a little bit of a turnover problem, but I mean, a guy that can play both sides of the ball, kind of similar to a Jaylen Brown-esque player. He doesn't shoot as well. He's a little bit shorter than a Jaylen Brown, a little less athletic, but a guy like Jalen Green that can finish, can shoot, is versatile, plays almost every game. You don't have to count on him possibly missing games or possibly getting injured. None of that. You don't have to worry about any of those problems. He's incredibly young, only 23 years of age. And then a guy that just ran into a team like the Golden State Warriors and pushed the Warriors to a Game 7. I think that's the big piece of this, that Jalen Green has a lot of value. He is a little bit overrated, I get it, but I mean, he is running the show on a team that doesn't really have an offensive leader. I think he would work much better as a number 2 option. I just don't think he's going to get that opportunity with the Rockets. I think the Rockets are going to decide to move off of him just because of his value, but I just think we're underrating Jalen. Jalen Green's getting a little extra hate than he deserves, I just think.
I mean, he had a bad playoff series, but it's definitely not something that I think makes him a bad player at all. It was his first time in the playoffs, and I think he did enough. They were the 2 seed in the West. They need more offense, but his defense is something that really helped propel them to where they are. For these next couple ones, we're going to do it this way. All right, I'm proposing a trade. Mehrob, you're the team proposing the trade. Nolan, you're the Suns, okay? You tell me yes or no from either side, all right? Next team up, it's the New York Knicks. This is a team that has a lot of connections to Kevin Durant here, and this one's probably the most simple. Mehrob, you as the Knicks are giving up Karl Anthony Towns and a 2028 first in exchange for Kevin Durant. Who says no?
I'm not saying no. Hell, no way. No way.
I'm the Suns. I'm taking that too. So
there we go.
Yeah.
That's one right there that I feel like the one thing with the Knicks and the reason why this trade kind of sticks out to me, and I've seen a couple other ones where it goes OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson because the Suns need a center, right? So you're going to have one of those 2 centers in there, is the fact that Cat is a liability defensively, which I'm sure the Suns don't want necessarily more liabilities defensively, but Cat is a younger player. You pair him up, you pair him up with Devin Booker. That is a pretty good 1-2 punch. It's a similar kind of build team to that New York Knicks team without having as good of a outside perimeter defense. There's still a lot of concerns over there, but it's kind of a really dangerous team with Cat over there. But Cat is someone that comes with his own pluses and minuses, right? We've seen him be traded now. He got traded last offseason. If this one were to go through, that'd be 2 off seasons in a row. And sometimes there's a little bit of a pattern there. It's one that I think makes a lot of sense and is maybe my favorite one of the ones that we've gone over so far, at least for both sides. I think this makes a lot of sense, especially if the Knicks are trying to get over the hump to past the Pacers. Getting a guy like KD on offense, I think, could do a lot for them. And you shore up that defense by having Mitchell Robinson down there. Nolan, what do you think?
Yeah, the only problem there, you just said Mitchell Robinson. I don't think he'd be reliable center the entire game because their backup center, a real Huck Paturi, if that's how you say it. Quite frankly, I've never seen that guy step a foot on the basketball court. So how can you? The only problem there, yeah, Mitchell Robinson, he was a very good center for the Knicks his postseason throughout the year. He proved himself to be a great center. But when he has to step off the court to get, catch your breath, get some air, their backup is going to get, their center play at that point is going to be tremendously bad. It's going to be horrible. They're going to get bullied by whoever they're playing. He will be getting bullied. Maybe this guy's good. Maybe this Aurora guy is good. I've just never seen him play, so I'm just basing off that. I mean, I've never heard of the guy. So, I mean, that's the only problem. If I'm the Suns, I'm 100% taking it. The Knicks could definitely question it a little bit, but I'd still see him taking it. It's just a matter of the fact that, Mitchell Robinson is a great center, but when he comes off, who are they going to have playing the 5? Put another power forward in or just play a real?
All right, next team up for you. We're taking a look at the Miami Heat. Now, the Miami Heat are a really interesting one. They're one that I think could be the second place or maybe even front runners over there. There was a leaked potential trade. I don't know how true it is. Again, with NBA media, it's kind of up in the air before it's official. But trade packages here. Mehrob, you as the Heat are giving away Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, and Khalil Ware, plus a 2029 first-round pick in exchange for Kevin Durant. What are your thoughts on the Heat side of things?
Well, I like it. You move off of Jimmy Butler in a mid-season trade. You weren't able to get Damian Lillard 2 years ago. Your name has been linked to Kevin Durant and these big-name superstar players. Frankly, a lot of superstar players are linked to Miami. I'm not shocked that KD's name is once again linked here. The one name that I don't know how much I love is giving up Khalil Ware. Khalil Ware is one of those young players that was playing great basketball, especially down the stretch of this regular season. I think he's a big man. He's a promising big man, and he would bring a boatload of talent to Phoenix, and he would pretty much fill in the role of DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton, one of those younger players, would really pretty much clean up that mess perfectly and give Devin Booker a big man a nice lob threat for Devin Booker.
Yeah, no, that I think was the kind of hinge point of this trade, because the ones that I've been seeing out there, it's between Khalil Ware and Nikola Jovic, right? And if I'm the Heat, I'd rather give up Jovic, but I don't think the Suns go for it unless Ware is a part of the deal, because as we've discussed, they need that center bad. You're giving up Kevin Durant in this situation, Nolan. Is this a trade you take? And if so, why?
Yes, because those 3 guys right there will be immediately starting on my team. Khalil Ware, one of the best, most promising rookies that we've seen this draft class. I love Duncan Robinson. He's still hooping. He was great. He's been great. I mean, you get another first-round pick. So you get basically 4 new players. You're gonna get your those 3 in that class. And you'll get Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, who you can be power forward, small forward, and center Khalil Ware. Draft whoever you need. At that point, draft a shooting guard or a point guard, and then you just bring off one of the Suns guys. If I'm the Suns, I am 100% taking that. That is literally that is a trade right there that will rebuild my team completely just off that one trade. You're giving up one, maybe two guys, and you're getting 3 starters, possibly 4 with the first round pick. I'm 100% taking that trade.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about this. And I think overall, again, I like that Cat trade we talked about, and I like this trade a lot. These are probably my 2 favorite trade packages that we're going to talk about between these 5 teams. It seems more likely to go to the Heat if it's between those two, or if I were to be the Suns, I would want to send him to the Eastern Conference, right? So it would be between those 2 teams, 1 and 2 for me, especially if you're able to get a package like that for them. Last one we're going to run through here, the Timberwolves here have an offer. Mehrob, you are sending Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and Mike Conley, along with a first-round pick to the Suns in exchange for Kevin Durant to play with Anthony Edwards. This one I think is super interesting because we're kind of moving off of the Cat trade on both ends here. From the T-Wolves perspective and the Knicks perspective. We'll start with you, Nolan, this time. Are you taking this package if you're the Suns?
Well, obviously, the Suns, I'm going to say yes. The Suns need everything they can get. I mean, another first-round pick, a vetted point guard, Mike Conley, a great star, Dante DiVincenzo, and a center in Julius Randle. Another 3 to 4 starters right there for a guy who doesn't even want to play for the Suns anymore. On the Suns, 100% yes. No doubt about it.
I'm going to throw a little bit of a twist on this one, so to speak.
Ooh.
What if in this trade package, instead of giving up Julius Randle, the Timberwolves decide to give up Rudy Gobert with DiVincenzo and Mike Conley? I think Mike Conley, they're really fond of Mike Conley. He's a great two-way player, and I know Anthony Edwards loves him, so they might keep him there. Maybe give up a guy like a Naz Reid instead, even though I know Naz Reid is on free agency market, so maybe not. But somebody else instead of Mike Conley, I can definitely see that package with a Gobert and with a Dante DiVincenzo. If I'm the Timberwolves, if I can keep Julius Randle, if I can keep Ant, and I can bring in a Kevin Durant, I love my chances in the Western Conference, especially with the resurgence of Julius Randle in these playoffs this past season.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting trade deal. You talk about Rudy Gobert, and his value is so odd because he's one of the best defensive players ever, but he's a liability on offense, right? And maybe you want that if you're the Phoenix Suns. Maybe you want a guy that can step in and just be a defensive anchor for you, but he's also a guy that can be attacked, right? You get him ISO'd at the top, it's not going to be good for him. We've seen that in the playoffs before. Of course, Luka cooking him in that, to call it out there, right? That is kind of the double-edged sword with a guy like Rudy Gobert. I think you get that kind of versatility a little bit more when you're talking about a guy like Julius Randle, because he's not necessarily a center, right? But you need him to play the 5 in a small-ish ball lineup. You can do that. His offensive flexibility is something that I think is really impressive when you talk about what he can do. He won a 3-point contest, for God's sake, right? And he showed up in the playoffs, which was the biggest knock against him. He got shut down by that historic Thunder defense, and he's not a perfect player. But if I'm the Suns, honestly, I don't know if I want a statue down there. In this modern NBA, I understand where you're coming from. You need a center and you need some defense. But it's kind of to each their own. And honestly, if I'm the Suns, I prefer Julius Randle in that one, unless you can get Naz Reid. If you can get Naz Reid, I'm taking that package every single day because he is the guy that I think would push this over the edge in any deal, Mehrob.
And it would take Minnesota. It would take him off the books in Minnesota, and he's seeking a $30 million contract right now. So it could be, not only would it be a game changer to send him there, take him off the books for you as well.
Yeah, you talk about that Minnesota offseason, and we'll get into this in the later show, but it's super interesting because you have nobody in the NBA with cap space other than the Nets. Julius Randle and Naz Reid both with opt-outs in their player options here. That's going to be huge, especially for this trade. But I don't know. I can't see them parting ways with Naz Reid. I can't do it. Which of these teams do you think fits best for Kevin Durant, though? We've been over a couple trade packages, but Nolan, which of these teams, if you're Kevin Durant and you can just teleport to one of these 5 teams, which ones are you going to?
Detroit. Nah, I'm joking. Probably, I think honestly Miami. I think Miami's one of the best spots for him. In the East, Miami. In the West, San Antonio. Overall, honestly, I'll take it back. San Antonio. I think San Antonio is the best spot. Great team, phenomenal future. Their team is so young. Obviously, you got Wemby. The problem is if he can stay healthy, but he's becoming like a Buddhist monk, so he's gonna just like become healthy all of a sudden. So I mean, that could work out. Him shaving his head's the greatest thing he's gonna happen to his career. But I mean, the team is got Chris Paul running if you got Chris Paul running the floor, and he's already played with Chris Paul. No, did he play with the Suns and Chris Paul? I don't know if he did. I'm not sure if he was there for a year with them. I don't think so. But I mean, why not? I think the Spurs would be a great fit for him. Just a great environment. It's a good spot. A really bright future. When they get stay healthy and they somehow get KD, they will be a legitimate contender in the West.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting. If I had to pick one, I'm probably going with the Heat or the Knicks. I think I might take the Knicks because that kind of lines up with the timeline of Devin Booker. You get a star in Cat who I've heard some people say is maybe the second best center in the NBA, which is kind of crazy to think about. But he is he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Outside of that, though, lots more to cover today. Shamar Stewart heading to the NFL. Not signed his contract yet as he continues to be in a contract dispute with the Cincinnati Bengals, who picked him at 17th overall this year. We'll talk about what his options are and what's next for the Bengals and the young rookie here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Thursday, June 12th, if you were just tuning in. We just finished going over some potential trades for one Kevin Durant. In this segment, we switch our attention over to the NFL. The big story right now, the Cincinnati Bengals and their handling of rookie contract with Shamar Stewart. Their first pick in this year's draft, 17th overall out of Texas A&M, the athletic freak from the combine, would really help out that defense. Instead, they're trying to be a little bit cheap here. Before we talk about that, though, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to talk about, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Thursday, June 12th. But like I was saying, we're going to get into what's going on here with Shamar Stewart. This is one of the most interesting rookie contract sagas, maybe the most interesting rookie contract saga that I can ever remember. He is fighting for the right to not get screwed out of the rest of his money. He officially left minicamp today, no longer there. He was showing up. He wasn't practicing, but he was stretching out, learning the playbook and everything in the days prior. He came out and he said he's 100% right, which I agree with. I don't know about you, how you guys feel about that. I think he's 100% right about this situation. The clause that the Bengals are trying to sneak into this contract for the first time in history is saying that if he messes anything up, injuries, if he does anything off the field, they can void not just the remaining guarantees for the season, but for the rest of the rookie contract, which means if he tears his ACL in week 1 of his rookie year, he has nothing guaranteed for the rest of his contract. That is an insane clause that they're trying to put in, and yet it's the most Bengals thing that they could have possibly done. The way that they try and nickel and dime their players. This is a guy that they just said we believe will be a star by drafting him at the 17th overall spot in the NFL draft. They could have drafted anybody else, just about. They chose him, which honestly was a bit of a reach. I like Shamar Stewart. He was falling down draft boards a little bit because of his lack of production at Texas A&M, only 4.5 sacks. What do you make of this situation, Nolan? What's going on here? What is the solution for this? How do you see this playing out?
When I first heard about it, him wanting to, renegotiate his rookie contract, which is something you never really do, I was really surprised because I didn't know the full backstory at the time. I was like, this guy had 5 sacks last year, 4.5, 5 sacks last year, and he wants to renegotiate his rookie contract. Like, you're not that good of a player to be doing that, respectfully. And then I hear more and more about what's going on. Bengals trying to basically find a way to not pay him his money. And when you hear about that, you really just think, how scummy can the organization be? This team is known for being cheap, being scummy, and having a terrible defense. And I hope that, honestly, this is one thing I hope. I heard that if he manages to just opt out of it, he doesn't want to play, he can basically just not play at all and then get redrafted in 2026. And right now, that's what I would do. I would opt out. I would not want to play for the Bengals. They don't want to pay me, so why do I want to go play for them? I would honestly opt out, redraft, and hopefully next year who cares how the record is, what team I get drafted to, as long as I'm getting paid. Because honestly, he could probably get drafted in the 4th round and make more money than what he would make with his first round contract with the Bengals because the way they don't want to pay him. It's just honestly insane. This is a team that has spent so much money on 2 guys and franchise tagging T. Higgins, and they want to, focus on defense when they don't want to pay their defensive players. This is the reason I don't like the Bengals. I never have, because they've always been like this. I just don't like the Bengals. There's every sport, every professional organization is one team I despise. It's the Bengals for the NFL. I just don't like them. I like players. I liked AJ Green. I loved him. I love Jamar Chase. I just don't like the Bengals. And if I'm him, 100%, I'm sitting out, hopefully getting drafted next year within the top 3 rounds, getting a better contract, getting a team that will willingly pay me the money that I deserve, even though he had a pretty, lackluster season, 4.5 sacks. He still had a great season, tackle-wise, a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. I mean, in the SEC, too, in the best college football conference in the SEC. Maybe about, Big Ten, who knows, you could switch that. But, I mean, it's the SEC. Nothing easy down there. 4.5 sacks down there. Plenty of tackles. Lots of pressure. Not sure why the Bengals don't want to pay him. It's beyond me. He should opt out. Hopefully get redrafted in 2026 to a team that actually wants and deserves him.
Yeah, you brought up one of those options, and that is one of them. There's a couple different options for him. They're not great options, but yes, sitting out this season is one, and that's one of the more interesting ones, where he could enter the 2026 NFL draft. If he has not signed his contract after week 10 of this NFL season, he, first of all, cannot play. He won't be able to enter any team. but he will be eligible for the 2026 NFL draft. I, for the life of me, cannot remember this ever happening. I doubt it's going to happen. The key part here is only 31 teams can draft him. The Cincinnati Bengals cannot draft Shamar Stewart if he is to forego signing this contract and re-enters into the 2026 NFL draft. He will have to stay in shape. It's a very interesting thing, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. I don't know what NFL teams are going to think of him for doing something like that. It's a whole nother point of view here. The other option is he can hold out. As long as he signs that contract before week 10, no worries. He can play. He's not going to be fined either because he's not technically a part of the team. They can't fine him because he has yet to sign his rookie contract, so he owes them nothing. That's probably what's going to happen. I bet it'll be figured out by week 1, but there's a couple of other more out there options. He could demand a trade. You can trade a player that has not been signed as long as it's more than 30 days from the beginning of the season. So if he is to be traded, it's going to have to be before September 4th or somewhere, maybe the 5th or something right around there. It's going to be, there's plenty of time for him to get traded here. I'm sure a number of teams would be interested in getting his services. The last option, probably the last one that he's going to do, is he could go to another football league. He could play for the Canadian Football League. He could play for the UFL. He could go overseas and play in a different football league. But the Bengals would still have his draft rights. He would have to be gone for basically 4 seasons before he could be a free agent again or re-enter into the draft. But he could go play professionally, which is a huge part. If you are Shamar Stewart, what are you doing here, Mehrob? What options do you have? What is your number one option here?
If Shamar Stewart cannot get a contract with the Bengals that is decently fair and makes sense, I think he should re-enter into the NFL draft. There are loopholes in this. The worst thing that he's going to have to deal with is staying in shape and be taking care of his body for an 11-month period, not touching a football field. But he can do it. You're a young guy. This is something. Take it like you're injured for a year. You're rehabbing in a way. You're taking care of your body. You're doing the right things to make sure you'll be ready to go for the next NFL draft. I'm right here with you. I think he's going to be under contract by week 1. One last thing I'm going to say is this is crazy that this is now the second player for the Bengals that is now definitely a much smaller player, but second player that's not getting paid right or getting in this type of scrutiny. Trey Hendrickson still doesn't have a contract with the Bengals, and he's in the same spot. A guy that's been there, been around, an all-pro player that is not getting his money. This is a guy in Shamar Stewart that's different, definitely a different scale, but it's a similar thing. He's getting a cheap contract, getting cheap loopholes in his contract because the Bengals don't have money to give to their defense. We talked about this on the shows prior a couple days ago, but this is the state of the Bengals right now. It just is.
Yeah, no, you talk about the Bengals as a whole when you zoom out of that organization. Shamar Stewart is having his moment in the sun here. He's come out, and in that press conference he gave, he basically said, I'm not trying to be the bad guy. I just don't want to be the guinea pig for this kind of contract. And it's completely understandable. This is a Bengals team that has, again, been just the cheapest organization that they possibly could be. It's not a great look. Trey Hendrickson, a guy who has 17 and a half sacks in back-to-back seasons, is gone. These are positions of absolute need. This is a necessity for the Bengals to get those two guys back in the building, or at a minimum, get some value for a guy like Trey Hendrickson. You're leaving him in limbo right now. You're not even talking to him or his representatives. You're not working towards a solution, whether that be a brand new contract, whether that be putting him on a brand new team. You're not making any headway at all, and it's only going to make it worse. You need to be proactive as opposed to reactive, and the Bengals just don't seem to understand that. They need to not try and nickel and dime their guys, and maybe then they'll be able to be just a little bit more successful, Nolan. What do you, again, you seem to have a vendetta here against the Bengals. It's just a mess over there in Cincinnati. How this dates back to previous generations. Carson Palmer wanted out because they were so cheap. This is not a new problem. How does this even get solved? Is there something the NFL can do to step in, or is this just going to be a problem forever in Cincinnati?
I think this will just be one of those problems that, it will be around the NFL forever. It just happens to be in Cincy. Other teams have had this problem before. This definitely isn't just a Cincinnati thing. There has been, other times teams have not been able to come to an agreement, but it's never got to this extent. It's never gone to, this public and for this big of a player. That the most important thing is it's this big of a player, and it happens to be in Cincinnati. This is one of those things that Cincinnati, they are a cheap franchise. They are a franchise that is known for wanting to scapegoat their way out of paying players. And until they change their ways, this is what it's going to be like. They're going to do their very best to make sure they can try to not pay their players and or just pay them as little as possible. I mean, it just sucks. It would just sucks, your dream. Your dream is to go into the NFL and then to get drafted to a team that, is saying this guy, he's going to help us so much. Like, this kid is going to be the future for our defense. And they just proceed to go on and lie to your face and say, we don't want to pay you, basically. Like, how can you say that? You're really going to think about that the rest of your life. Like, I worked so hard for all this, and this team just doesn't even want me. Like, what do you even think about that? Like, this is why, like, the Bengals are crushing hopes and dreams over here. Like, I don't get it. Like, how could you just don't want to pay your player? I just never understood that. I don't know why they don't want to do it. It's going to be a thing in Cincy. It will forever be a thing in Cincinnati. It has been in the NFL for a while, but mostly it's just a mainstream in Cincinnati, which sucks. How it is.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a mess over there. We'll keep you updated on this story because it is still developing here, but we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we turn our attention over to the world of baseball. Aaron Judge is on pace to do something that hasn't been done since World War II was going on. We're going to talk about that and much more here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Thursday, June 12th. If you were just tuning in, what have you been doing? We've had a lot of sports discussions so far. We've talked all about the NBA Finals. We talked about Kevin Durant trade locations. We talked about what the Knicks are doing, trying to steal a head coach. We talked about Shamar Stewart and his situation with the Bengals. Me, Mehrob, and Jake here, and Nolan here today. We all talked about that. But this segment, we're moving on to baseball. Aaron Judge, as we teased at the end of last segment, is on pace to do something that has not been done since 1941, since before World War II was over. It is insane the pace he is on right now. We'll talk about his season and if he's the best hitter, right-handed hitter of all time. But before we do, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to GSMCpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with us here on a beautiful Thursday, June 12th. But like I was saying, we are going to get into Aaron Judge. And the thing that he is on pace to do right now that no one has done since 1941 with Ted Williams is hit 400. And this isn't just any regular hitting 400. He's on pace to hit nearly 60 home runs on top of that. He has been a monster for the last couple of years. He's won 2 of the last 3 MVPs, probably would have won 3 in a row if he hadn't gotten injured for the 2023 season. He is on a completely different level. He started late. He's only played 10 years in the MLB, and he's already in his mid-30s, which is a shame because if this guy could have figured out his swing earlier, imagine the kind of discussions we would be putting him in already, despite the discussions that we're prepared to put him in here today. I'll start off with this. If he hits 400, no one's done that since Ted Williams back in 1941. He hit 406 for the Red Sox that season. He will most likely have won his 3rd MVP in the last 4 seasons. At least it's trending that way. He is at least 2nd in every single Triple Crown category right now. Where do you rank this guy all time? He doesn't necessarily have the term, but are you putting him as one of the top 5 just pure hitters of all time in Major League Baseball? Is that way too high? What kind of range, Nolan, are we talking here with Aaron Judge when it comes to the history of baseball?
Well, the thing is, baseball has been around for so long. There's guys, it's been going around since, the 1920s, earlier than that. But there's been some phenomenal hitters throughout their career. Barry Bonds, Ed Willie, Pete Rose. Miguel Cabrera. There has been just some of these hitters are insane. Putting him in the top 5 at this point in his career, I wouldn't say is crazy. Top 10, I think he's easily a top 10 pure hitter of all time. Top 10 or top 5. I think he could reach a top 5 status is if he wins either one of the above. One more MVP or just 1 Triple Crown. If he can win 1 Triple Crown, he will, in my opinion, be a top 5 just pure hitter of all time. He is, like you said, 10 years in the MLB. If he manages to fix his swing 6 years ago, and he's just been hitting like that, he would be hitting like this the past 6 seasons. He'd be arguably the best hitter of all time. MVP discussion every year. Probably have 1 or 2 Triple Crown by now. He would be arguably one of the best hitters of all time. But unfortunately, he didn't figure his swing out until a few seasons ago. Maybe a few seasons ago, I guess. And it really started to improve. If he manages to hit 400, he'd have, like you said, the best average since World War II. And, that says a lot. This era of baseball is easily increasingly difficult to the 1940s. The pitchers are pitching faster. The balls are moving quicker. A lot more movement. There's more pitches. There's just so much more to the game. If he manages to hit over 400 this year, he will be, right now is already, in my opinion, he will easily be a top 10 hitter of all time. It's a lock. But if he manages to hit 400, he could probably be like a top 7 and a Triple Crown, top 5 easily.
It's a very interesting conversation here to have. I went and tried to find anything that could compare every single hitter who's ever played baseball. And I didn't find a perfect stat, but I did find something that ranked every single hitter, at least the top 515 players, by the OVOA, which is basically the OPS, on base plus slugging, but it also takes into account your ability to run on bases. So stolen bases and caught stealing is incorporated in there. It's not the perfect stat. I would have preferred something to do with WAR, wins above replacement, but if you're going off that ranking already, he is the 97th best pure hitter of all time. But you have to take in consideration, he's only done it for 10 years. His early career was not that great. He has two of the best 50 hitting seasons ever. He was 44th in 2022 of all time, 8th in 2024 of all time, and he is having a better season this year than he was having last year. He could have a top 5 all-time season, and that would put him twice in the top 10, 3 times in the top 50. Metrics aren't perfect. You have guys at the top of this list that you would expect to be at the top. Babe Ruth, number 1. Barry Bonds, number 2. Ty Cobb, 3rd. Ted Williams, the last guy to hit 400, at 4th. And Hank Aaron at number 5, right? These are legends of the game. And if you put that as your top 5 hitters of all time, people probably wouldn't really blink an eye because, yeah, why not? Those guys could absolutely be the top 5 hitters of all time. But what Aaron Judge has been able to do over such a small, relative career sample size kind of pushes him up the leaderboard for me. The highest active player that I saw was Mike Trout, and he is one of the best players of all time in baseball. He is, if he had stayed healthy, and that's a big if over there, it wouldn't even really be in contention there. But Aaron Judge has the ability and the, I guess, pace to catch and pass him as far as being a better hitter than him, which is crazy to talk about. If I said that 5 years ago, my head would be on a spike right now because of what a player Mike Trout is, right? This is insane. And again, this is better. He keeps improving after year after year after year, sets the home run record. Then he wins the MVP again by having a much better five-tool season, and he's doing it again. He's about to hit 400. It's hard to do. There's a reason no one's done it since 1941. We'll just take a step back here. Mehrob, is he even going to do it? Right now, he goes 1 for 4, his average tanks. He goes 1 for 3, his average tanks. He needs to hit at least 2 for 5 every single time to increase that average. It is insane what he's doing. Is this even possible right now?
I mean, I could see him hitting 2 for 5 in 70% of the games that are left, or probably with less games, with less than 100 games to go, probably closer to 80%. But there are still going to be those games where he goes 1 for 4, 1 for 3. He has some sluggish days. He's still human. You can't expect him to just be perfect all the time. Will he get to that 60 home run record or mark? I think he definitely will get there or get close to 50, 60 home runs this year. But for the 400, that is a level that these days is borderline impossible to do, barring an injury, barring something crazy with these, especially with how good pitchers are these days. It's so hard to hit 400, even for 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, for a week. This guy's been doing it so far, and we're close to the halfway point of the regular season. So when we're in totality, I think I wouldn't be shocked, but I mean, realistically, I can't say that we would see it. No.
Look, all I'm going to say is that if I was a baseball, I would be scared of Aaron Judge. The way that he just hits with power, the way that he hits with poise, everything he does is at the top level of the game. Even his defense over there really is insane. There's a reason he's in these conversations of greatest of all time. But we'll take a step back, right? Just of today, the players that are active today, you have guys like Mike Trout. If you take them in their prime, you have guys like Shohei Ohtani, like Bryce Harper. Where does he rank in this era, at least when it comes to hitting? Because it's much easier to compare there is he already the best of this era? We'll go with like 2010-ish on drafted guys. So like starting with your Bryce Harpers and your Mike Trouts, as opposed to starting with Albert Pujols back in the early 2000s and your David Ortiz's. He's in a different generation than those guys. But where does he rank in that kind of situation?
I'd definitely say top 3 easily. Top 3, top 4. He's probably top 3. The only guys that I might put ahead of him right now are I think he clears Bryce Harper. And you could maybe throw Shohei in that conversation. Well, no, Shohei is definitely in the conversation. Let me change that. And then I think the only guy that might be in contention with is Shohei, which is crazy enough. The guy that he's playing up against right now. That's just my take. What do you think, Nolan?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many good players. I mean, the 2010s era was stacked. You have, obviously, half the Dodgers roster. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, obviously Shohei Ohtani. I mean, those 3 guys alone. Then you got, the Phillies roster. You got Bryce Harper. He's actually like the main guy, I guess. I mean, most of it's Bryce Harper. You got Mike Trout stuck on the Angels. That sucks for him. I mean, there's just so much talent, from the early 2000s, like late 2000s, early 2010s era that was drafted. I mean, in the top 3, it's not crazy to say that at all. If he managed to fix his swing a little earlier, he'd be the greatest hitter in this era. But since he fixed it so late, you can, if you're comparing him just from how he started to how now versus the guys in that era, he'd be probably the best. But like throughout his career, there's just been guys who've been playing better longer. Shohei Ohtani's have played better longer. Bryce Harper, I think, Bryce Harper's one of the best hitters of his generation. Putting him, above Bryce Harper, I was a little thrown back. I think Bryce Harper, not all time, but like in this era, I think Bryce Harper honestly still, he's not, better anymore, but he was better. So I think Bryce Harper, like in this era, I think he's still better hitter than Aaron Judge. But right now, Aaron Judge is a better hitter. Mike Trout, one of the best pure hitters of all time as well. Honestly, I think he's top 3. Honestly, I agree with you. Top 3. It's Shohei. I have Mike Trout over Bryce Harper, and then Aaron Judge.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree with you guys. But we've gone from a Yankee to a Red Sox, Ted Williams to a Yankee. Now we're going back to a Red Sox. Roman Anthony here just got called up. We talked about him when he got called up. Roman Anthony is a really interesting case because they have started winning games. I know it's a small sample size. They won the series against the Rays. They're 2-1 since he's been called up. He's looked really good so far. The number 1 overall prospect in baseball. Mehrob, talk to me a little bit about Roman Anthony here and what he's meant for this Red Sox team just in this one series.
We could talk about his defense, but I don't think we want to talk about his defense when we can talk about how good he's performed, how much he's performed, how much he's put in for the Red Sox on the offensive end. The way he's hit a crucial triple against the Tampa Bay Rays 2 days ago. He hit in his first game against the Yankees. He hit a triple. He had an RBI double. He's had some great games so far, and on top of that, the Red Sox are winning games. They plug him into left field. They put Rafael Devers on the DH where he wants to be. You have Willy Abreu on IR, just waiting in the wings for him to come back. This team is filled with depth, and if this keeps going, the Red Sox may have finally. I'm not saying that they're out of the waters because they are dealing with a bunch of injuries. Tristan Casas is out. The injury bug is all around this team right now. But you have a Band-Aid and you have Willy Abreu coming back. I'm not saying that all hope is lost. I'm not saying that this is the game changer for them. This is a great sign for things to come in the next couple months or so.
With the way he's been playing, though, and it's always interesting when you talk about replacing guys, calling up guys. Willy Abreu is not a guy that you want to kick out of the lineup, right? Because he is a huge part of that Red Sox team, but you don't have a lot of spots for a guy for him to come up, for Roman Anthony to play, which is why it took so long for them to call him up. what is his role once this team gets healthy? Do you see him being on this roster long term, or is this one of those come up for an injury and get sent back down situations?
No, I think he's in a good spot. I think they keep Roman Anthony. I think they pair him up with Marcelo Meyer the way Marcelo Meyer's been playing for the Red Sox for the last 2 weeks to a month now, and then you bring Roman Anthony with him. These are the top two of the three prospects. The Red Sox, if you guys don't know, have the hall of prospects right now. For whatever reason, the Red Sox have found a way to farm up some of the best prospects in baseball right now. They bring up Marcelo Meyer a month ago. They have Roman Anthony now. When you have guys, you not only do you have an injury bug that gives these guys a spot to show up and show out, but it now adds even more depth to your team. And I think that's exactly what you want from the Red Sox. You can put your guys out in the field that you want to play good defense. You can put guys on DH that you know can struggle sometimes, that are great hitters, but struggle sometimes in the fielding part of the game. This Roman Anthony's going to be here for a while. I don't think they bring him back. I think he's going to continue to prosper with this team. And if this is just a sample size, how much more do we expect for him to grow? Let's give this a week time. We're definitely going to revisit this topic. Give it a week of time, and let's come back to this, see how this experiment goes.
Yeah, the Red Sox, you say, are dealing with a lot of injuries, right? Alex Bregman, who's off to an incredibly hot start, Strinton Casas, and Wilyer Abreu, all on that injured list there. You're getting to see a lot of young guys come in, step up. It is a crowded roster. They're going to have to make some tough decisions, though, as these guys start to get healthy. And we'll talk a little bit more about it when we get there. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we turn our attention over to the world of, well, actually, we're staying in baseball. We're going to talk about a couple of different baseball teams that have had either really disappointing or really surprising seasons so far. And all I'm going to need you guys to do is tell me if you buy or sell. What are they going to do at the deadline? Do you see this team being what they are for the rest of the season? We'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown. Get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today, joined by Nolan and Mehrob. If you were just tuning in, we've talked about a lot of different things. We talked about Aaron Judge and his historic season so far. We have talked about the NBA Finals, about KD trade destination, Shamar Stewart, and a lot more. In this segment, we're going to finish off our show talking a little bit about baseball, right? These are a little more than a quarter way through. We're about to hit the dog days of summer. This is when baseball really hits its stride. Right now, we have seen teams that have been incredibly hot, surprisingly so, and teams that have been surprisingly cold. We're going to talk about a couple of those teams, 4 from the AL, 4 from the NL. Starting off with the AL here, we'll actually start off here with the AL East, because there's one team up top and one team up bottom that I thought would be completely switched. So we'll start off with the team that has been incredible, the Blue Jays. 40 wins for the Blue Jays already, second in that division. This is a team This is a team in the Blue Jays that continues to surprise me. They've dealt with their fair share of injuries. They have gone out there and just won baseball games. They extend Vlad Jr. He hasn't really been his best self this season, but they're getting it from a lot of different places so far. Nolan, you buying in on this Blue Jays team, or are they just a team destined to flop like they have so many times in the past?
I think this is the team that could be different. Maybe. When you just sign a guy for $500 million, 13 years, 17 years, I mean, he's going to play his best baseball. He's not going to, hopefully. And that's what's happening. You're seeing Vladdy. He's playing some of the best baseball of his career the months after signing, this multi-million-dollar contract. I think this is a Blue Jay team that really break the hump. They really haven't been, I'm about to sneeze. Never mind. It's coming now. There's a sneeze coming. But, I mean, this is a team that can hopefully, I think, will get over the hump this year. They have not, made it too far in the playoffs in a decent while. They haven't made it, just haven't made it far. And I think this is a year that they truly can hopefully get over the hump. I think baseball is good when the Blue Jays are good. I really believe that. When the Blue Jays are a good baseball team and make deep playoff runs, I believe that's when some of the best moments come out. I mean, look at walk-off home runs. I mean, it's just a staple in the Blue Jay community. And I think that this is going to be a year that hopefully the Blue Jays will hopefully get over the mark. I mean, their bullpen's good. It has been better than it has in the past. They're hitting. I mean, they've just been an overall better team than they have been in past times. This is a definite year where I can hopefully see them get over the playoff hump, make it out of the wild card, and maybe make a playoff run that can maybe bring some hardware back to the organization.
Yeah, they're currently the number one wild card team in the AL right now, which is not a spot that they expected them to be. I thought they'd be more where the Baltimore Orioles are. The Baltimore Orioles have had a disaster season. They've already fired their manager way early on in this season. They are a team that had playoff hopes. They won 90-plus games last season, 100-plus games 2 seasons ago. This is an Orioles team that pitching just has fallen apart, and we all knew that was going to be their issue. The starting pitching, well, they just didn't address it in the offseason, and it's caused a lot of the issues. Now, the Orioles have been better of late. The bats have started to show up. The pitching has been better for them, but they're still sitting way back in the AL standings, fifth in that division, in the AL East, all the way back 14 and a half games of the Yankees. This is an Orioles team that has the talent, undoubtedly, especially offensively, to be a good squad. Mehrob, is this an Orioles team that can turn it around, or are they just done for this year?
I know this is not something that Orioles fans want to hear, especially with their playoff struggles, but I think you just can it for the year. Pack it up. Unless there's some miraculous way that they can find their way to 500 around August somehow, some way, which I'm not saying is going to happen. I don't see it. They're going to need a crazy win streak here in the month of June or July. They need to piece something together. They've got some momentum going. They've won a few series in a row here, but they need to figure out they need to get their pitching under control. You can get your bats going as much as you want, but unless you can, without strikeouts, without being able to get out of innings, it's not only a momentum killer, it's a game killer, it's a series killer, it's a season killer, and it killed them. It's killed their general manager. It's the reason why he's out of there right now, and it just feels like you said it best, Jeremy. It was an issue that they had in the offseason. It is an issue that showed itself in the playoffs. They let it just walk throughout the offseason unaddressed, and now it's showing up in the regular season like, we didn't know this was going to happen. How do you not know it's going to happen, man? It's just like, it's unfortunate to see with a team like the Orioles that were just in the playoffs last year, won the AL East 2 years ago, one of the better teams in the AL, and especially with how loaded you are offensively, you expected more from them. But I think this is the end of the road for the Orioles for this year.
Yeah, the Orioles need a run like the Tigers went on last season. they are this team. They're the next team because they have topped out to the hottest start in all of baseball. Better than the Dodgers, better than the Yankees. They are 45-25 right now, the best record in the entirety of the major leagues. This is a team that sold at the deadline last season, found a way into the playoffs, brought their guys back that they sold so they could build this team again, and it has worked beautifully. Nolan, your team here, is this for real?
Yes. Obviously, I'm going to say yes. I mean, this is a team that has, potential back-to-back Cy Young winner, Taylor Skubal. You have some guys in the bullpen who can get it done. Jack Flaherty had, it's kind of funny, the story. Comes to Detroit, gets traded to the Dodgers, to the playoffs last year, gets his ring, comes back to Detroit. I mean, he wants to be in Detroit. He had a rough start. He started the season 1-4, and he's just gotten better since. Will Vest, another great player for us. I mean, our bullpen is, has its days. Some questionable days here and there, but overall, this is a bullpen that I can get behind. I can really enjoy. This is the bullpen I haven't seen the Tigers have since 2014. Verlander, Scherzer. I mean, that bullpen was probably one of the best of all time, in my opinion. And this bullpen's nowhere near that, but there's some comparison here or there. And, the hitting was the thing that we needed to work. Sorry, not we. The Tigers needed to work on the most last year. Riley Green, he was our all-star. He was our hitter. He was hitting about 280, 290 last year. And you know what? It's not bad. It's not bad. But when he's your best hitter hitting 290 and the next best guy is about 250, I mean, there's got to be some work to be done. And that's what happened. We signed Gleyber Torres, one of the best pickups for any team this offseason. He has done so much. He's a great infielder. You got a smile over there. I don't think you like that take that much. But, I mean, I love him. I love what he's done for us. He's been great at hitting for us. Javier Baez, one of the greatest comebacks that I've ever seen. Comes off of injury. He starts at center field. He's playing center field for us. He played shortstop. He's playing center field. He's hitting 300 for a little while. It's dropped down now to about 280, 270. But still, I mean, one of the most miraculous comebacks I've seen out of a player in Javier Baez. I'm happy. I love Baez as well. I've always liked Javier Baez. Even with the 2021 and 2023, his stint with the Tigers, he was horrible. He was straight up terrible. And now he's playing great. I love him. I mean, this Tigers team, I got to stop ranting about them. But this is a team that, I love. And I really believe, even though we don't really have too much playoff experience, I think with this team's talent, we can make a deep run. Hopefully, maybe get a pennant. Maybe.
From a team that's currently favorited to win the AL pennant to a team that I had taking home the AL pennant at the beginning of the season, the Texas Rangers are the team that I was so high on. I have so much stock in this Rangers team. They have dealt with the bats just being cold, and I'm not ready to sell my stock in this Rangers team yet. You still have a bunch of guys that can show up and win you games that we have seen win games. That pitching staff is showing up for them, which is not really what I expected. Jacob deGrom is back to being Jacob deGrom, which whenever you can get a good Jacob deGrom, you have maybe the best pitcher in baseball right there, right? Patrick Corbin has resuscitated his career over there. Patrick Corbin, who was the worst pitcher in baseball for the last 3 years by a wide margin, has turned into an average starter over there for the Rangers. And that is an insane turnaround that I don't think is being covered enough. This Rangers team is not winning baseball games, though. They are currently sitting way down in the standings right now, 33-36. They're fourth place in their division behind the Angels. It is not what you expect when you talk about the things that have gone well for the Rangers. Is this for real? Are you buying or selling if you are the Rangers at the deadline, Mehrob?
Jeremy, I'm happy that you haven't sold your stock yet in this team, because this season is not over for this team. Not only, just taking a quick peek at the standings, not only are the Rangers just 2 losses behind second and third place. Second and third place in the Mariners and Angels tied at 33-34, but they're only 5 games behind on the Astros. They're still in this fight. They may not. This may be one of those divisions that is kind of struggling behind the AL East, struggling behind the AL Central. Well, the Central with the Tigers, not the rest of the Central, just the Tigers we're talking about here. But when we're looking at the AL West, this is a division that's lacking. It's struggling. It's one of those quieter, not as loaded divisions. So this is a bunch of teams that are above average, fighting for that first spot. You have the Astros that are leading it right now. Do not be shocked if the Rangers can pull it together. If they can continue to keep their bats going, if their pitching can catch fire, I think they can find a way into these playoffs. If they can catch, they just need to hang. If they can get to 500 before the end of the month, which is very realistic, I think they get right back into this division race.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a lot to love about this Rangers team. None of these teams are out, though, right? We've only played about 70 games in the season. There's still 110 games to go right now. That is a lot of baseball yet to play. We'll dive into the NL tomorrow, as well as much more in hockey, as that game has tied itself up right now in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Stanley Cup Finals, 3-3. 3 goals in the second period for the Oilers after 3 goals, and the goalie was pulled for the Oilers. Crazy, crazy game. Go check that out, but we'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you come back for that. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been the GSMC Sports Podcast, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit.